Hi there, coming back again with another Spotlight video. In this video, I'm going to talk about the George A. Romero Dead films. If you had seen my Master of Horror Complete collection, you may have seen that or heard me say that I wanted to do like Spotlight collections. So may it be a franchise, an actor, director, types of movies, anything like that. And I thought for October it would be a good idea to do one of my favorite horror film series, and that would be Night of the Living Dead and the following films. Dawn of the Dead being my absolute favorite. But Night of the Living Dead here, the original one. This is the VHS tape. Just thought I'd kind of show that, just because I don't know, I like the look of it. Got the dude on here. They're coming to get you, Barbara. Don't be ignorant. So, Night of the Living Dead, classic film about a bunch of survivors who end up in the middle of this kind of in the middle of nowhere in this house, and throughout the time that they spend there, zombies keep coming to the house, and they have to figure out ways to deal with it. So yeah, it's a great movie. It definitely created a subgenre of horror. Now, I'm not some huge zombie connoisseur. I don't know if like this was the absolute first. I'm sure there's probably a zombie movie before this or what have you, but this is definitely the sort of movie that kind of like sparked an interest in the mainstream for this sort of film. And Night of the Living Dead, very classic. The original one's in black and white here. So yeah, 1968. So that's the VHS tape. Just thought I'd show that. And as a lot of people have, Mill Creek has released the 50th anniversary edition here of George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead. They Won't Stay Dead. So from what I've heard about this film, this release of this film, that the transfer is not the most amazing, which is a little unfortunate, but I didn't pay a lot for this, and apparently the big thing that everybody's talking about is how it's coming out on Criterion. Now, I don't think I need to spend I would imagine close to $50 usually when those come out right away for that, even if I waited till half price, which is hard to do in Canada. Yeah, so I'm fine with this edition. I'm sure it looks just fine. To be honest, I actually like the next one a little better, so I don't watch this one as much, but I definitely having a huge appreciation for it. It's really good, and the remake is pretty close to this one. There's some slight differences, but yeah, let me just say what this is. George A. Romero's cult classic returns to the 50th, or for its 50th anniversary. The indie horror masterpiece changed movies and the genre forever with its glaring gore and terrifying twists. Restored now in high definition and available for the first time on Blu-ray in the United States. Prepare for the frightening tale of 5 strangers struggling for survival against the walking undead. They're coming to get you again. I always like that dude's face right there. But yeah, I haven't checked out this Blu-ray to see like the to see the quality or anything like that. It doesn't seem like there's any sort of special features, which is a little underwhelming. But like I said, I don't really care. And if you're watching this video and you would like to get this movie on digital, I'm not exactly sure how this works, but here's the instructions here. And yeah, here's the digital copy. So I don't know if you can pause that, if you can see that very well. It seems to be that you go to Mill Creek, enter ent.com/redeem, and I don't know how it works from there. If it goes with your iTunes or what have you. But there you go, the digital copy of Night of the Living Dead. Happy Halloween! Enjoy this absolute masterpiece of horror. This classic, and the remake, which I actually prefer. I know I don't know, it's just more entertaining to me. It's in color, which is great, so the gore looks better. It is better. It's Tom Savini at his best, and he also directs this movie. And that is The Night of the Living Dead. This is the when was it? 1996. So I also have the VHS for this as well. Unfortunately, I don't have any more VHS for any of these Dead movies, which these are cool to have on VHS. But yeah, so the big difference in this movie, out of the very few, like it's very close to the original film, because he worked pretty much right off George A. Romero's script. I think George rewrote the script for this, and he pretty much just kind of did it very close to the original one. And the big difference in this, is the main character. She is more of a modern woman. In the original one, she's kind of like this frazzled damsel in distress sort of woman. In this one, she decides she's going to take things into her own hands. So as you can see, there's lots of cool stuff on the back. This is an Umbrella release. I believe they're an Australian company. A lot of them say that they're B region, but all their releases that I've heard talked about or that I have are region free, so there's no worry there. But this is a really great film. And this release has Scream Factory level of special features, just tons to get into, the behind the scenes stuff and how they made it. And yeah, I really love how this one plays out, and the special effects are amazing. Like, the gore is really some next level stuff. So yeah, and what's his name? Tony Todd comes in. Yeah, Tony Todd. He comes in and plays the main actor role. So yeah, it's a very good updated version that is very respectful of the original. So it doesn't really try anything different. It just kind of does the same thing and updates it a little bit. So my favorite of all these films is the original Dawn of the Dead. This film's so great. I love how, the statement, how like in that sort of terror, humans flee to the mall where they go to, like consumerism, and it makes them feel safe. That's kind of like the underlying statement. That's how we would feel safe, is to run to that sort of thing, I don't know, he always needs to put some sort of underlying message in about society and whatnot, but to me, I always just like the zombies really and the kills, and I don't know, I'll get my deep messages from other movies, but to me, this one here is great. The special effects, I know a lot of people probably don't like the blue kind of gray look to the zombies, but to me it's very charming and classic, and I've watched this movie 100 times. Pretty much every Halloween, or like right before Halloween, I'll watch this movie. Yeah, this has tons of special features, and this is a very out of print film on Blu-ray. I know it's quite expensive, but as happy as I am to have it, I didn't pay a lot for it either. It was really cool, in just a mint condition. But I would love for this film to get a really amazing re-release on Blu-ray, whether it be Scream Factory or someone else. This is a great movie. There's like an international cut. There's tons of special features and documentaries, and I think they could really knock a collector's edition of this out of the park. But yeah, if you don't know, pretty much this just kind of continues from the Night of the Living Dead. Not the characters, but that universe, and takes place with some people at a what is it called, a freaking news station. They end up in a helicopter with another guy. Tony Todd is in this one as well. Yeah, it is Tony Todd, right? No, it's not Tony Todd in this one. What am I thinking? Very similar. What is his name? That is gonna drive me bananas. I'm gonna have to move on. I cannot remember, but he is great in this movie. And anyways, all the couple survivors with Flyboy and this other military guy and the woman. I cannot remember anybody's name right now. It's driving me nuts, and it's just that guy who looks like Tony Todd so much. But anyways, So yeah, they end up going to this mall, and they kind of like shack up there, and they just sort of live off the mall, and they clear out all the zombies, and it's like their own private paradise. But before long, a group of motorcycle gang sort of survivors show up, and all hell breaks loose. And yeah, it's just, I love this movie. It's so much. It's funny too. It's got very like smart, funny humor within it. So, but yeah, this is a Anchor Bay release. I don't know if you can see that. But yeah, like I said, I would love a re-release of this in like I don't know, something like a Scream Factory, and a 4K restoration. Hey, put this on 4K. People would love this movie on 4K. I'm sure I'm not the only one. But yeah, that's Dawn of the Dead, the original. Fantastic film. That is one of my all-time favorite films in general. So, not just horror, just all together. I watch it so much. So the remake here, this just came out on Scream Factory. I think they did a really good job with the transfer in particular. The special features, they did have a lot, but to be honest, it was slightly underwhelming, especially in comparison to some of their older releases. I would really like to see more of that Horrors Hallowed Ground series that they did on the original, like, I don't think, but like The Fog had it. A lot of old Scream Factories had that awesome, where they would go around to these horror locations and look at them. But that, regardless, this does have quite a few new special features, and it includes all the original special features from the original Blu-ray release, which were quite substantial to begin with. But this one has the new 2K digital intermediate scan, so HD master. The main thing is like an interview with like James Gunn, and kind of like how he got involved in this movie, and some other sort of behind the scenes stuff, some special effects and stuff like that. It's really good. I really did enjoy the special features that were there, but I don't know, I kind of expected it to be a little bit more than that. So both the theatrical and the unrated cuts are remastered with that 2K scan. So there is the slipcase there. Gorgeous artwork on there. I love that art. I got it, pre-ordered it right from Scream Factory, which I recommend if you like these. It's a little pricier, but you get them, and they're really well packaged, so you don't, generally speaking, you don't really have to worry about them being damaged unless your mailman's just being a total dick. And but yeah, and then a lot of the times they come up 2 weeks early from a release day, and then you get a big poster with it. So here's the alternative artwork as well. I showed these off in my last update video, so if you want to see like the inside artwork and the inside disc art and stuff, go check that out. But this one is great. This remake, unlike Tom Savini's remake, this one kind of just takes the main idea of survivors in a mall and a zombie apocalypse going on, and kind of that's it, and it really does its own thing. Sure, the survivors get in there and they kind of have like they're kind of like living in luxury, and then it all goes to hell eventually, but it's a lot different. The zombies are way different. They're faster, they run at you, and yeah, it's way more like fast-paced and intense, and it's more action-based, but it definitely does have a lot of funny moments. It's got that, satirical sort of humor that you'll find in these zombie George A. Romero ones, while at the same time doing its own thing. Ving Rhames is great in this, Sarah Polley, let's go through it, Jake Weber, Mekhi Phifer's awesome in this movie. But yeah, I really enjoy this one. I like the special effects quite a bit. I like when the, once we have our main survivors in the mall, eventually there's a second group of survivors that show up. I like what goes on with that storyline, especially the fat old granny zombie. She is hardcore. But yeah, this one's awesome. I'm very happy with this edition. Out of the two editions, I would say this is a must-have. If you were only going to get one out of the two that were released, which was this and Land of the Dead, I would pick this. So, yeah, that's Dawn of the Dead, Zack Snyder's, James Gunn's written film, adaptation, remake, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, here is Day of the Dead. This film's fantastic. A lot of people consider this the best of all the Romero zombie films. I know at the time of its release, I think people kind of didn't understand it, I'm pretty sure was the deal, but over time, people really grew to think of this as the masterpiece of all these. I still prefer Dawn of the Dead, the original, over this, but I would probably say this is my second favorite for sure. What's his name? Bub? Or Bubba? He is awesome. Great zombie effects on him. And the whole story behind him. So, the one thing I kind of upsets me about this release is I do not have, so you get the disc art, I do not have the slip for this, which sucks, but it is what it is. I got it pretty cheap on a sale, so there's the alternative artwork, which is really cool. I like that artwork quite a bit. It's very plain and simple and nice. But this movie is very cool, and again, we got more survivors this time, a military group with some civilians and this scientist dude, and they're kind of taking refuge in this underground bunker, and again, before long, it all goes to hell. But before it all goes to hell and the zombies kind of get all down there and everything starts going crazy and people being ripped apart, there's some crazy gore segments in this. Tom Savini was part of this special, I'm pretty sure he ran the special effects group. So, yeah. This one, unlike the newer Scream Factories, the special features on here, freaking comprehensive. That's the best way to put it. But yeah, before it all goes to hell, basically what's going on, basically, like the main point is you get Dr. Frankenstein, and he's sort of trying to figure out how the zombies work, what their baser instincts are, how they operate, and if they can be controlled. And he's not even really trying to figure out a cure, which I'm pretty sure is what the idea is for him to even experimenting on these zombies, is to figure out a cure. But instead, he's figuring out how to train these things, and it's really cool mind bender on that aspect. I like that part of the story quite a bit. This lieutenant captain dude here, he's such a dick. He's so funny. He's running this fucking monkey farm, and he just wants to know what the hell people are doing wasting his time. That's one of my favorite parts of that movie, is when he screams that out. But yeah, this is definitely second for me as my second favorite in the George Romero zombie collection, or film series. So, the second release that just came out is Land of the Dead. I'll just quickly show you the interior artwork. Here's the original poster, which is very cool. And, yeah, this movie came out in 2005. I remember it was like a big thing. It came out like right after that Dawn of the Dead remake. That's why I think this movie kind of gets, not a bad rep, but it's definitely looked at as underwhelming, and it definitely is. But at the same time, it's schlocky, it's fun. The one thing I don't love is how like the zombies are like remembering things, and I don't know. It's funny, but at the same time, it's kind of annoying. I don't know. It doesn't bug me that much. But yeah, basically what's going on in here is, what's the place called? Like Fiddler's Green or something? No, that's a Tragically Hip song. Sorry, I'm Canadian in the morning. Gord Downey, so I got Tragically Hip on my mind. Something to do with the green, but basically, we got the city now, and a big chunk, this skyscraper and this like little area around it have been like sectioned off, and now these people are living, and it's separated into classes, like the Titanic and stuff like that. How there's like people outside who are sick, they don't have any money, and they're kind of living in tents and doing nothing. And then you got people who are kind of like doing work and get benefits, but they have to go out and kill zombies and bring back shit. And then you got people who are all rich and the higher elites, and Dennis Hopper, who's the main villain character in this movie. He's like the head of it all, the elite. And basically, it turns into a whole shit show with John Leguizamo and this other character who have gone out, and they have this weapon. I don't want to get too much into the story if you haven't seen it. But the zombie effects are really, really good. There's lots more headshots. You can definitely see he was just like, okay, well, the one thing I definitely seen more of in that Dawn of the Dead that I definitely liked was the headshots. I can see that going through George Romero's head. Like, well, I kind of want to tell my sort of zombie movie, but those headshots were cool, and I want those in mine. And he definitely has those in his previous zombie movies, but he definitely amped it up for here. I really enjoy this film. It's definitely probably these two here are the least favorite for me. So this one's probably my fourth favorite. I like Dawn, Day, Night, then Land. And that's just George. I probably like that remake a little more. You know, it gets confusing when you try to put things in order. I love all of these movies. So, this movie, I say I like this one quite a bit, actually. I think this is a very good use of found film footage. Just the way that he used it. He definitely took some chances here and there, and I think it all worked out, generally speaking. And pretty much just zombie plot. I think pretty much at this point he redid the whole universe, and at this point, where Land of the Dead, Day of the Dead, those are sort of connected in that same universe. Whereas Diary of the Dead seems to, there's a new zombie apocalypse, and none of those old movies happened. But he's starting again in the vlog sort of generation. The internet generation. So he utilizes the internet and some other cool ways to do the found footage. And I think the zombie effects in this are very cool. The way they get right up in the camera. It's almost like a thrill ride at times. And yeah, it has a very cool ending that actually connects to the following movie, which he didn't wait too much longer. Diary of the Dead was done in 2008, and he came out with his next and final zombie film in 2010. So 2 years later, he came out with Survival of the Dead, which is more traditional film. It's not that found footage. It does have characters that you meet in Diary of the Dead, which is another first for George, is that not only did he restart the zombie sort of thing, the universe, he actually continued characters from another film into the next one, which is something he never really ever did before. But yeah, this one's kind of cool. There's like this island now, and they're all separated in like tribes almost. But this one is definitely my least favorite. I don't like, again, like how in Land of the Dead it started, where how the zombies could like remember, like that's always kind of an idea, but once you really start getting into it, like the mailman delivering mail as a zombie, so stupid. Like a jazz band, for some reason they're all out still all together playing jazz as zombies. I don't know. And in this one, there's a girl who rides a horse, and she's a zombie, and it's stupid. But overall, this movie's still got the zombies and the kills and the George A. Romero touch. It's just my least favorite, and unfortunately, the end of his zombie franchise, because after this, he didn't come back. There was some years in between, but unfortunately, recently, I'm not exactly sure how old he was. He was quite old, but yeah, unfortunately, George A. Romero passed away recently. I'm sure a lot of people know that. But yeah, Survival of the Dead was an amazing try, I would say. He gave it a go. It it was amazing to me that at this point in his career, he was still trying to come back and try to make more zombie movies. And he could have been doing any other things. He did a lot of other types of movies throughout his whole career. Here's one right here, a really weird movie, Monkey Shines. That's an odd one. But yeah, it was just amazing to me that he would come back at that ripe old age and make another zombie movie, regardless of what I think of it. Which I definitely don't hate it, but I definitely don't love it. I think Diary of the Dead's better. But yeah, that is the George A. Romero zombie collection. It inspired countless zombie movies from that point on. And I don't even have anywhere near all the zombie movies that this inspired, but I definitely have some. Got I Am Legend, got the 20 days, 28 weeks. I heard they're making it 28 months later. Is that true? Does anybody know about that? I Am Legend, World War Z. That's a great zombie movie. Maggie not so much, but Train to Busan. That's a pretty cool one. Definitely more in the line with the Dawn of the Dead remake from Zack Snyder. You got The Return of the Living Dead. Not so much, but who cares? Night of the Comet, which is always cool. And yeah, definitely Zombieland. Here's definitely one of the biggest movies inspired by that is Shaun of the Dead. So yeah, that is my George A. Romero collection. I just wanted to take a little time, almost half an hour of time, to sit here and talk about this amazing franchise of zombie movies that I really, really appreciate. If you like these movies, if you have anything to say about them, go ahead and leave a comment down the comment section below. And if you like this video, go ahead and like and subscribe. And yeah, as always, until the next either update video or spotlight, be easy.